Hey, first grade authors, it's me, Mr. B, here to, the purpose of this video is to guide you through today's small steps on the path towards our powerful paragraphs. Yesterday we worked, you really did the hardest work of all, which is adding details through adjectives and appositives and fragments that added more detail to your sentences. So now today, few small, relatively small steps, none of which should be as difficult as what you did yesterday. So you should feel good about what you've done and just follow these simple steps. So number one, when we left off yesterday, you had a paper that looked like this with your sloppy copy, and you added your adjectives and your fragments on the same paper. And that's where we stopped. So the first thing that we need to do today is take your new paragraph paper that you printed off yesterday but you didn't get to use, and you're going to carefully copy your new sentences onto the new paragraph paper. So put your name and number at the top. Carefully copy your new paragraph paper. So what I did is I was raising, and then I had inserted beautiful and healthy monarch. So I wrote raising beautiful and healthy monarch butterflies, and then I added a comma, the great migrators of the butterfly world. That's an appositive. So after I wrote monarch butterflies, I put in commas, I added the great migrators of the butterfly world. So there's my appositive. And then I just copied the rest of the words. So then I went through my first sentence and where I added an adjective, and then I had a because fragment at the end. So here, my adjective was flowering for milkweed. So my first sentence, when I rewrote it, should find some flowering milkweed. I put right there. So you're rewriting your sentences with all your additions just so that you kind of have a neat copy to work from. And it's just 4 sentences, so it should be not too long for you to rewrite. So when you do that, after you've copied all your edits onto your new paper, then you can take your old paper and put it off to the side. And then step number 2 is check your sentence order. And what that means is check and see, now that you've got your revised sentences, check and see if you think the order of the sentences is the order that makes the most sense. You know, some of your sentences are in time order. So if they're in time order, you want to do what comes first, second, third. In my case, my first detailed sentence is what you need first, right? What do you need first? Milkweed. What do you need second? The transparent, breathable, covered containers. So that is second. And then the third thing is after 10 days, the caterpillars become a chrysalis, and after 10 more days, they become butterflies. So in my case, the sentence order made sense. I'd just like you to read your sentences and see if the order you've got them in makes the most sense. If you decide to switch the order of your sentences around, you can indicate that right now by just drawing an arrow from where your sentence is to where you want it to be. So suppose you wanted to switch detail 2 and 3. You can just show that by drawing a 2-sided arrow, a 2 pointed arrow. And what that shows is that sentence 3, when I write my next copy, my final copy, sentence 3 is going to go here, and sentence 2 is going to go down here and become sentence 3. So just check your sentence order. Most of you aren't going to want to change your sentence order, but it's worth thinking about. Then check your word choice. And what that means is, especially what you want to avoid when you're writing your sentences, you want to avoid using the same word over and over. And you don't want to use the same word. Usually, you don't want to use the same word more than once in a sentence. So we're going to go back and see, are there any places where we're using the same word too many times? So let's see. Raising beautiful and healthy monarch butterflies, comma, the great migrators of the butterfly world, comma, is fun and easy. Look at that. I have the word butterflies twice in this sentence. And that's not the best idea, because if you have the same word, it gets awkward for people to read and to say. So is there any way we can change one of these words? Like, is there a synonym for butterfly? I can't really think of a synonym for butterfly. But here's what I could do. I could probably just say raising beautiful and healthy monarchs, comma, get rid of this word and just go with my appositive. The great migrators of the butterfly world is fun and easy. Because if I do that, when people read that we're talking about the great migrators of the butterfly world, they'll know that we're talking about monarch butterflies. So in the spirit of avoiding repetitive words, I'm just going to cross that off. So that's what I would like you to do. If you find repetitive words, you're going to cross off one of the word that's repetitive, and sometimes you can just get rid of it altogether, or sometimes you can replace it with a synonym. So now my sentence is raising beautiful and healthy monarchs. I'm going to change monarch to monarchs. The great migrators of the butterfly world is fun and easy. Let's look for some more repetitive words. First, you should grow or find some flowering milkweed plants, because that is what monarchs eat and lay eggs on. Okay, so all those words I just used once, so that's good. Detail number 2. You also need transparent, breathable, covered containers to keep the monarchs in after you find monarch eggs or caterpillars. Oops. Did you see what I see? I've got the word monarch twice again. So we already decided there's really no synonyms for monarchs. So can we get rid of one of these? Like, could you say, you also need transparent, breathable, covered containers to keep the can you keep that monarchs in after you find monarch eggs or caterpillars? Well, you could say to keep the monarchs in after you find eggs or caterpillars. Well, which eggs or caterpillars? How about if you use their? Right? And that refers to the monarchs. Whose eggs or caterpillars? The monarchs. So now you also need transparent, breathable, covered containers to keep the monarchs in after you find their eggs or caterpillars. All right, so we basically cleaned up the words by replacing monarch, the second monarch, with their. After 10 days, the hungry caterpillar will become a green and gold chrysalis, and then in 10 more days, it becomes a mature black and orange butterfly. Well, that is, I've repeated 10 in days. I've used those words 2 times. That's kind of repetitive. I might need to reword this. And I'm thinking you know, instead of breaking it down into two 10-day parts, right? The way I've got it written now, there's the first 10-day part where the caterpillar becomes a chrysalis, and then there's the second 10-day part where the chrysalis becomes a butterfly. What if I just, in order to not repeat words, why don't I just talk about the total days one time? How many total days are we talking to? Talking about 10 and 10 equals 20. So we could say after, we could put 20 days and replace and cross that off. So after 20 days, the hungry caterpillar will become a green and gold chrysalis, and then it becomes a mature black and orange butterfly. That's getting better. Let me see. After 20 days, the hungry caterpillar will become a green and gold chrysalis. How about, instead of after, we could say during the next 20 days. So during the next 20 days, the hungry caterpillar will become a green and gold chrysalis, and then, get rid of that, it becomes a mature black and orange butterfly. All right, now I notice I've got this word twice, become and become. So again, you don't want to have the same word twice. So let's see if I can get rid of one of them. During the next 20 days, the hungry caterpillar will become a green and gold chrysalis, and then I could cross off this, and then a mature black and orange butterfly. So now look at that. During the next 20 days, the hungry caterpillar will become a green and gold chrysalis, and then a mature black and orange butterfly. Okay? So you could either say during the next 20 days the hungry caterpillar will become, or you could just say becomes. So I think I'll say becomes. During the next 20 days, the hungry caterpillar becomes a green and gold chrysalis, and then a mature black and orange butterfly. And you know, as I was thinking about this word becomes, I was thinking about a powerful muscle word that we've learned that is more, it's going to help people visualize the change. Because we're talking about change from a caterpillar to a chrysalis to a butterfly. And that is our muscle word transform. Transforms. So during the next 20 days, the hungry caterpillar, so I'm going to cross off becomes, transforms into a green and gold chrysalis, and then a mature black and orange butterfly. All right, so that takes a little more work, and that's an example of checking your word choice. And the goal is you want to avoid repetitive words. So avoid having more than one word in the sentence. You can tell that it means you're going to have to reread your sentences over and over to figure out the best words to communicate your ideas. But a lot of times, if you have two words in one sentence, you can replace one of those repetitive words with another word, like replace becomes with transforms, or you can just get rid of one of the words altogether. and the sentence will still keep its meaning. So that's our main goal today. When you're done copying your revised sentences onto the second paper and checking your sentence order and checking your word choice and making sure your word choice is good, then please have mom or dad send me a picture of where your paragraph is at now. And then tomorrow we will edit our paragraph, which means we're going to check for end marks, capitals, and spelling. And then on Thursday, we will publish it. Great job, authors. Spasiba Balshaya.